You are listening to an interview with a featured Pride of Dakota member.
Hi, this is Sarah Kelch, and today I'm sitting down with Scott Wild and Melanie Johnson with M Squared Creations. Welcome, everybody.
Hello.
Good morning.
So, Melanie, we've had you on before, but why don't you give the listeners a quick crash course in your company?
Crash course, all right. About 3 years ago, a friend and I decided to start a business. We started out doing custom scrapbooking and soon decided that wasn't for us. And Melissa, my partner at the time, she said, how about taking photos of things that resemble letters of the alphabet? And I thought she was crazy. So anyway, it is an idea that she saw on the internet. And so I decided, why not? So I started taking photographs, and lo and behold, we have evolved into a business where we take photographs of things that resemble letters of the alphabet and use those photographs to spell out words of special meaning, family names, those types of things.
So were you a photographer before, or
I am not a photographer.
Not a photographer.
Maybe I could say I am one now. I'm an accountant by trade. I am a CPA in the state of North Dakota. However, I guess the creative side comes out.
A CPA with a creative side?
I know,
what?
right?
It's a freak of nature.
Yes, I've been told the mold was broken with me.
I would say so.
But yeah, I get to use, I've always had a creative side, and so self-taught is what I like to say. But I'm learning as I go and having a heck of a lot of fun.
So your subjects, I mean, you've built this database of letters, right?
Correct, yep.
And you look for naturally occurring letters.
Correct.
You were just talking before we turned the mics on about going to a music store and, looking for natural, like instead of laying drumsticks in the letter M, that's not a naturally occurring, anybody can do that.
To me, that's what I refer to as cheating.
Okay.
I think, I've seen there's many people that do this now. You can look on the internet or even, local Hallmark stores or what have you. But one of my rules that I live by is, first of all my photos are taken by me. I've had many people say, I have some letters, or some photos, would you like to look through them? I appreciate that. However, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I've taken my photos. I know where they've been taken, and these are mine. The other thing is that, I don't cheat. And by that, I mean, I make sure that the letter that I'm taking a picture was never intended to be a letter. Yeah. I mean, some people, you could take pictures of signs and various fonts and have a heyday that way.
Right. But
it was never intended to be a letter, and it's occurring. So albeit in nature, architecture, household things are a wealth of information. One of those, and a regular, a cheese cutter is a letter T.
Sure.
No one's ever, you don't even think about those things, but you're like, next time you're cutting some Velveeta for your grilled cheese, just take a look at it. It's a letter T.
Sure. So
those types of things, and it makes it a lot more fun. I think it makes it more of a conversation piece as well.
Sure. So bending a garden hose into the letter S is considered cheating.
Correct. I think so. I mean, not that I couldn't do it. I do have a couple letters in my collection that, one is the letter V of a pair of scissors that's open.
But that is a naturally occurring shape of that object. I mean,
exactly.
It's either open or it's closed. It could be the letter I, or it could be.
And that's why I leave it. But it's just one of those things where it's like, to me, I did kind of stage that one. But you're right. I mean, that is a way that a scissors would or could look.
So are you always walking around with your camera? I mean, how are you,
I used to carry my camera with me all the time, and I actually call it my curse. And the reason I call it that is because I'm always looking at things kind of cockeyed. I often tell a story. You guys have maybe heard it before, but when I first started taking photos, I did actually carry my camera with me all the time. My husband and I went on a vacation to Las Vegas, and as we were walking, we were in actually Caesar's Palace. As we were walking, I literally laid on the floor to take a photograph in the casino, right where people are walking.
Sure.
My husband, mortified, just continues to walk like he has no idea who I am, and I'm taking a photograph. Right? Correct. So those are the types of things, and over time, I've learned to I understand when sometimes if I need to take a picture of something on the floor, instead of laying on the floor, I may just put my camera down there and snap it.
Which is odd, because when I go to Vegas, it's odd when I don't see someone laying on the floor.
Right, I wouldn't think that would be that unusual.
For many
this
reasons.
Is true, yes.
For many reasons, I see people.
Maybe
laying
other
on the
cities
floor.
you couldn't get away with it, but Vegas,
it's like, oh, there's another guy laying on the floor.
But you know how it is when people are taking a photograph, and you sometimes look and go, what are they taking a picture of? You just kind of think like, what are they taking a picture of? And I get that a lot. Like,
Sure.
why is she taking a picture of the springs on a trampoline? You know?
Sure. Okay, now what letter would that be?
Well, the one that I have thinking of was a letter N, actually.
Really?
Yes, it was in Wisconsin Dells, and it wasn't a trampoline in the traditional ones that we see in people's yards here. It was more of a one where they had a net, and you could play like volleyball over the net, so it was more like a cage. And so the springs were on the sides as well as the bottom, so that they were crisscrossed. And at a certain perspective, a certain angle, it was a letter N.
Oh, that's
it's in my
cool.
collection.
Right on.
That is awesome.
So you have how many do you have in your collection? Do you know?
You know, I have approximately 250. We recently, my family went on a family trip down to Disney World, and so I have a whole slew of new letters that I'm getting ready to add. I always have to, when I add new letters, I try to add them in groups, because what I do is I first go through them, colorize them, meaning I take out the color, make it black and white, and sepia, because I do have each letter available both ways.
Yeah.
And then I have it printed to make sure that the quality is there. Sometimes it seems odd, but sometimes when I make a photo black and white, I really lose the letter. And so I have to make sure that after I do all that, and I also don't Photoshop stuff to death. I mean, I could really twist and turn things to make them into letters. So I do crop them using Photoshop, but I don't twist and
you don't manipulate.
Kind of stuff.
It's the natural photo as it's taken. Do you have any letters that are sort of the lonely letters, the ones that you maybe have only just a couple of? Because
I do.
You know,
like
they are hard. If your name is Zelda Quiver, you know, you might be.
I could help you, Zelda. Zelda, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
But no, the letter Q is, I don't have very many. I've also only used it twice ever, I think, and oddly both words were quilt. But other than that, the letter R has proven to be the most difficult letter. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I think it's because in a uppercase or capital letter R, you have a combination of straight lines and curved lines.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Many letters have one or the other. You know, maybe the letter B, but the B is more symmetrical, so it's easier to find in like architecture.
Sure.
But when you have the two pieces together, it proves to be more difficult. So I only have about 5 R's.
Really?
And I can go on R finding missions and come up empty-handed.
Sure.
So you have your kids trained to like spot out letters as well, or?
Yes and no. I mean, they're going to spot the ones that are like, okay, you know, like very obvious, but yet I would never take a picture of it.
I would think Q would be a difficult one as well.
Which one?
Q?
Yeah.
Q is, yeah. But, you know, again, it's all about perspective. So if you have a circle, and anytime you're looking at a circle and you can maybe turn your head or whatever and have a line behind it or in front of it that is going to intersect it, then you can take that photograph.
Okay.
So do you go for just all capital letters, or do you have uppercase and lowercase, or?
I have a little bit of both. It's, I would say, at least 90% capital, probably even 95%.
Okay.
There's very few lowercase letters. I do have a lowercase r, which is a light pole. It's very straightforward and recognizable.
Yeah, sure.
An I is another one that I use. I have like another street light type thing with just a big ball at the top, a baseball dotting a baseball bat.
Sure.
You know, so I have a few, but most people, we stay consistent. They like to use, if they're going to use capitals, they use all capitals.
Excellent. Now, will you go and if someone has a request to maybe come into their home or you know, shoot some very custom photos, do you do that?
At this time, I don't. I get that request actually quite a bit. I try to steer them in the direction that I have a collection, and maybe there's some pieces in my collection that have special meaning. For example, I have an O that's a motorcycle tire. If they happen to have an O in their name and you know, Dad or Grandpa is a motorcycle enthusiast, that's perfect. So it kind of has special meaning in that way. Otherwise, you know, it's something I've thought about, being able to go out to Grandma and Grandpa's farm and find pictures that spell out the family name. The thing about that I have with that, the difficult piece, is that I'm going out somewhere and I'm actually really trying to find specific letters.
Right.
The letters come to me more easily when I'm not looking.
Right.
When I'm driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour.
Right. Well, I think before we turn the mics on, you talked about the Harley, you know, the Harley enthusiast. And it's like, it's really tough to go force fit an alphabet out of a Harley Davidson without bending the handlebars slightly.
Yes. And, you know, my she-woman skills, they're kind of lacking.
So do you do most of your work as custom, I'm guessing, or do you have some standard phrases like love or family or?
I do have standard phrases. They don't sell very well. Those are mostly sold for like, your coworker. You need a gift for your coworker or your aunt in Washington State or something like that. Typically, most things are custom. So what that means is that, at shows, I have a lot of people that they need to wait. I don't have things, that you can really take with you, but I have some products that you can take with. We've
Sure.
Evolved over the years. We offer more products. We sell our photographs when we go out to shows. We have what's called clip frames, where we can actually put frames together for you on the spot and take that with you. But mostly our custom larger pieces do take a few weeks to complete.
And you can do both framed. I mean, you can frame and mat them, correct?
Yep, we do the traditional framing, with a hand-cut mat, with the photographs mounted and all that kind of fun stuff. We do that in black and white or sepia. We also have some kind of newer contemporary pieces, like they look kind of like they're floating on the wall. That's more what our clip frame is. It's a more economical piece as well for people. Unfortunately, custom framing does cost a fortune. It costs me a fortune to do. I don't do that myself either. I do have someone that helps me out with that. And so it's just an expensive process to have something custom made. But I think it's that way with anything.
So they can create, though, any mat they want and any frame combination. So
correct. Yeah. And again, we do not offer color at this time. It is something we have considered to do the letters in color. Obviously, when I take the photos, they are in color. And sometimes, like I say, when you make that letter black and white, you've lost it. But yet it may be a really fancy or awesome letter in color. So it may even expand my my photo library that way.
Excellent.
So you have a website, correct? People can go to?
We do have a website, and we do not have a storefront. It's our virtual store, I call it.
Yeah.
Our website is www.m2wordart.com. We have a tool out there that we had created for us where people can drag and drop the letters. So let's say they wanted to make a black and white sign with their last name. They would create the number of openings to fit their last name. Maybe it's Smith. They'd have 5 openings. They'd go to our S collection. They'd drag their favorite S down. And what it becomes, it's kind of fun. It's even if you don't want to order, it's fun to just head on out to the website and play around, see what different combinations you can come up with.
Awesome.
Very cool. And so then, that's perfect, because then they get to see exactly what their creation is going to look like. And that's, in some ways, better than a a real store.
Correct.
Because that'd be harder to do.
Right. They lay it out and, it's spaced out, and then they can preview it and see what it may look like with the different kinds of framing options we have, so they can get a really good idea of what it's going to look like. But you're right. If someone were to call me or call the store and say, hey, I want Smith put together, what letters do you want? I don't know.
Sure.
But, it's funny, too. I get a chuckle out of a lot of customers, because one customer said to me, I cannot do this. And I thought, why not? And she said, I have decision-making disorder. So some people actually get really stressed out over this whole letter choosing thing. It makes me laugh. But in some ways, it can be stressful. I get it. But the best part of it is that there are no rules.
That's very cool. So do you have any reward system? Like if someone were to contact you through your, are you on Facebook and stuff like that too?
I am on Facebook, yep. And I just opened a Twitter account.
Oh, right on.
Yay.
Good for you.
So I am on Facebook and the internet, and then I do a few shows a year. I only do a handful of shows, and in addition to doing this, which is something that I love doing, I also have the whole family thing going on with a bunch of little kids running around. So I do have to try to balance all that, but this is the fun part of my life. That's something I really enjoy doing, and I'm just having the time of my life.
Do you know what your Twitter handle is by hand?
I believe it's M2WordArt.
Okay.
Which is the same as my Facebook
Okay,
page.
so it's facebook.com/M2WordArt. Mm-hmm. If someone what I was going to ask you earlier is someone like sends in a suggestion for a letter, like say someone finds a letter Q, is there any reward system, or do you maybe that's something you could create as a contest for who can send you the most?
I've thought about that, but again, the thing is, I don't want people sending me their letters.
Yeah, no, but if they told you, if you go to the corner of 3rd and
True,
Washington.
True. But again, the other thing is, like, I always think of Facebook as being outside of North Dakota.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So when I'm posting things, I have to make sure that I don't just, hey, I'm going to be at the Elks Club in, small town USA.
Sure.
And people in Texas that are fans go, what?
I don't know. You never know when someone's going to say, if you go to a Diamond Head in, Hawaii.
Right. You might want to take that trip.
There's a great letter
right?
Q. There's a Q and an R and a Z right there,
That's totally be worth it.
I absolutely think that it's something you should look into.
Write it off.
Exactly.
Yes, you guys want to come with me?
When you take this Alaskan cruise and you're standing on the deck and going to the glaciers, it makes it perfect.
But no, I do offer specials from time to time.
Sure.
50% off my photographs. If you order them on the website, here's a coupon code, 10% off, those types of things. And that's the way that I advertise. I do have, I give freebies, have little contests every now and again on Facebook. And those are always fun as well. And I also look to people on Facebook because there's people that like what I do and understand what I do for feedback.
Right.
Hey, what do you think of this? Is this a nice letter? Is this, okay, here's Sisters. I did this a while back. Here's Sisters version 1 and here's Sisters version 2. What do you think? And, and it gives me feedback.
Opinions.
Oh, exactly. They sure do. But it helps me. It helps me to know, because I have my favorites.
Yeah.
And so it helps me to figure out what the general public may like.
Excellent. And one more time with your website address?
It's m2wordart.com.
Awesome.
Excellent.
It's been great having you on today, Melanie.
Thank you very much.
To learn more about this featured Pride of Dakota member, visit our website, prideofdakota.com. To become a featured Pride of Dakota member, send an email to prideofdakota@gmail.com. To listen to the full podcast of North Dakota Now, click on the podcast link on our website, prideofdakota.com. Thanks for listening.